There was a legend in the old city of Lahore, whispered from one generation to another about an abandoned hospital on the edge of town. A place so soaked in silence that even the bravest dared not enter after sundown. Built during colonial times, the building was once the pride of the city, but after a mysterious fire engulfed the pediatric ward in 1983, claiming the lives of dozens of children and staff members, it was shut down permanently. Since then, no one had gone near the rusted gates except daredevils, ghost hunters, and reckless teenagers chasing thrills. Among them were two best friends, Amar and Bilal, both YouTubers obsessed with horror content. One rainy evening, they challenged each other to stay inside the hospital for 1 hour, record footage, and upload the video to prove once and for all whether the place was truly haunted. They arrived just after dusk, their flashlight beams slicing through the thick mist that hugged the crumbling walls. Pigeons fluttered in the broken ceilings, but the deeper they walked in, the quieter everything became. As they passed long-forgotten hallways lined with rusted equipment and shattered glass, a strange cold began to follow them, and every now and then, the distant sound of a crying child echoed faintly. "It's just the wind," Amar whispered nervously, though his grip on the camera tightened. They reached the main corridor where the pediatric ward once operated. The walls were covered in faded drawings made by children, smiley suns, animals, stick figures, but all of them were smeared as if scratched by claws. "Let's go in," Bilal said, pushing open the half-burnt wooden door that led to Ward 9, the room where the fire had started. The moment they stepped inside, the air grew unnaturally dense. The room was pitch black despite the flashlights. Suddenly, a toy rolled across the floor on its own. Startled, the boys turned around, but no one was there. The door creaked shut behind them. When Amar reached to open it, it wouldn't budge. They banged and shouted, but their voices seemed to be swallowed by the darkness. Then came a faint lullaby, a woman's voice humming from the corner of the room. Bilal raised the camera toward the sound, and through the viewfinder, he saw a shadow sitting in the corner, rocking back and forth. As he lowered the camera to look directly, nothing! But when he looked again through the camera, the figure was now standing, facing him. "Run!" Amar screamed, pulling Bilal's arm. They forced open the door and stumbled into the hallway, gasping. The lights above flickered for the first time since they arrived. In panic, they decided to leave immediately, retracing their steps. But the hallways didn't seem the same anymore. Every turn led them back to the same place, Ward 9. Their footsteps echoed. But soon, more footsteps joined in. Not theirs. "There's someone here," Bilal muttered, voice trembling. They started running blindly when suddenly Bilal vanished. 1 second he was there, the next he was gone. "Bilal!" Amar shouted into the void. Static filled his camera. He turned around and for a fleeting moment saw Bilal standing far down the hallway, or at least something that looked like him, but his face was wrong. Too pale, too still. And when Amar blinked, it was gone. Panicking, Amar retraced his steps, calling Bilal's name over and over, finally returning to Ward 9. The door was wide open this time. Against his better judgment, he stepped in and to his horror saw Bilal standing in the middle, eyes shut, whispering something rapidly in a language Amar didn't understand. He asked cautiously. Bilal turned around slowly, his eyes completely white, his face expressionless. The camera slipped from Amar's hand and hit the floor, still recording. A deafening scream followed, and then silence. The next morning, police arrived at the scene after a few hikers reported finding a blood stain. Camera lying outside the hospital gate. The footage showed everything. The laughter, the screams, the shadowy figure in the corner, Bilal's disappearance. But strangely, the last frame showed both boys walking calmly out of the hospital, hand in hand, with blank stares, even though they were never found. To this day, no one knows what happened inside. Some say they were taken by the spirits of the children who perished in the fire. Others believe the hospital itself is alive, feeding on fear, memories, and souls. What's more chilling is that every year on the same night, the hospital lights flicker for a few seconds, and if you listen closely, you can still hear the faint sound of that lullaby echoing in the wind, and two boys laughing, forever trapped in the shadows of Ward 9.